Welcome back, everybody. We are talking lights and lasers today in the way of the Crimson Trace, the CMR 207. This is going to come in red, it's going to come in green to suit your color choices out there and give you usable light for those pistol distances. This will be another quick format video should you be looking into the CMR 207 so you can get the information you need if you're comparing this to other different lights out there in the market. We will definitely go over some low light footage, some laser and some light only footage, so you can check that out and see how it's going to look inside of a normal sized house. And because I know somebody's going to ask, did you test this out on the range? Well, I'm glad you asked. And I know that range footage was shot during the daytime, but that's really just to check the shock rating on this to make sure it's not going to fail at any point in time under that recoil impulse when those rounds are going off out there. We'll do all the low light footage stuff here stacked so you can get a really good idea of what it's going to feel like inside of a house. Let's go ahead and get into those specs, then we'll check out that low light footage and kind of give you my overall opinion of this light. This specific model from Crimson Trace is the CMR 207. It will come in red and it will come in a green projected laser. And you get your choice. Just remember, when you see green, the price goes up. Seems to be that way with everything. Green LED emitters are just a little bit more expensive than red, so there is a price difference. The white light itself is going to give you 400 lumens of very nice bright white light that's going to be pretty good for those pistol distances. There are lights extremely brighter and there are lights far less bright. 400, 500, even 800 lumens is really kind of a sweet spot when it comes to a pistol light. As far as the construction of the light, the whole body and the housing of this light is going to be made of that aircraft grade aluminum, which is very common in the market. It's also going to have that smart technology in it, so you can program this light to your desired setting. How you program it is turn the light on and just hold both of the paddles at the same time for about 3 seconds, and it will begin to cycle through the programs. You're going to be able to have laser only, light and laser, or light only. That's really going to be up to you and what you are trying to do with it. It's also windage and elevation adjustable for that laser, and your zeroing distance is going to be completely up to you and the distances you think you're really going to be using the light in. And this is powered by a single CR123 battery. One of my favorite parts about this light, it's got a 5-minute auto shut off on it. So if you put this in your bag or it's in your console or wherever this thing is going to be at, if it accidentally gets turned on, it's going to automatically shut off after 5 minutes, so you don't drain and burn out that battery. And then all you have to do is re-tap the switch and it will turn right back on. It has ambidextrous and very easy to use paddles on both sides. It's very easy to get to with your primary or your support hand and activate that light or turn it off depending on the scenario you are using and training with it. Now that you know those specs, let's take a good look at some low light footage here. And this is just going to be a normal size master bedroom here. And we're going to go through light and laser together so you can get a good idea. Now the camera is set up roughly at 40 millimeters, which is close to what the human eye sees at. And I tried to set the settings on the camera to visually see exactly what my eyes were to give you a really good idea of how this is going to look, although you can really never get the camera perfect to the human eye. So bear that in mind when you see the light and the laser when we get to that point. So this first room here, like I said, I'm standing in the doorway, standard size master bedroom. You'll see you have a pretty wide hot spot on there and a really good amount of spill. This is a pistol light. That's pretty much what I would expect. Overall, it illuminates that room very well, and you're not really going to get any splash back into your eye because it's right at that 400 lumen mark. Now, when we go to the laser only, you will see it is still very visible, and we'll test this in a little bit longer distance here in a minute. Now we'll go ahead and check out a pretty standard hallway on a white door background so you can get a good idea of what the glare is going to be like. So first you'll see here, it's a pretty good setup here. Very good spill on this, but you'll notice that that white light on a white surface does wash out that laser a little bit. So you've got to bear that in mind. Overall, very usable in what's a pretty typical about 15 to 18 foot hallway inside of most residential homes. Now let's go ahead and check out what that laser alone is actually going to do when you go from a dark area where you're standing, projecting that laser into an area that has more light. So we'll start here inside the dark hallway. And then I will push over to the kitchen area. That wall is about 40 feet away from where I'm currently standing. And you'll kind of see that that laser is very, very visible. Even at this distance, while we were in the dark, and that kitchen is very bright under the LED lighting that I have in my home. Overall, pretty good. You can see that that 400 lumen rating is pretty good for most residential homes, and it's going to give you all of the lumens that you're going to need. The hotspot is pretty wide, so you get a good spill around that as well. And it's very easy to use out there with those easy kind of like tactile feeling activation pedals. I didn't have any problems with those. They turned off, they turned on every single time I tried to use them. And it's very easy to cycle through those user programs. When it comes to that battery life, you're gonna get about an hour out of this thing, kind of depending on how you run it. What I will say is, if you use a name brand battery, you're gonna get better battery life. I've noticed that cheaper kind of off-branded batteries, you usually lose about like 10 to 15% at least from my experience. So when it comes to your pistol mounted lights or any mounted light you're gonna use for self-defense or protection or just safety, use good batteries in them. As far as mounting, you've got a couple of different spots up there. I'll kind of show you those right there. You can see how that'll hook onto any standard 1913 rail, but the screw is small enough to where it looks like it will go through pretty much any, even like the Glock or some of the spring-filled polymer pistol sized rails, because they're just a little bit smaller. So you're gonna have the option to move this a little bit forward, a little bit backwards, depending on where your trigger guard is and how short that frame is. Now, talking about that cost, when it comes to this light laser combo, you're gonna spend a little bit more sometimes than what a just normal light would be. So street price on this, it's about $139 for the red version of the light and the laser. Now, when it comes to that green, the green just means money. Anytime you buy, whether it's an optic or a light with a green emitted laser, the price goes up. So it's about 50 bucks more on that one. So it's about $189 is what I found them for, just to go from red to green. So when it comes to an aiming laser, for 50 bucks, I'd probably stick to the red one. Now, if you have any other questions on that CMR 207, whether it is in the red or the green, and if you don't know, green is a better color for your eyes all the way across the light spectrum. You can do some research on that and check it out for yourself. But if you've got those questions, leave them down below. And if you are interested in the PSA dagger right here, I will have the well over 1K follow-up video coming out very soon. And if you're interested in the initial video, that is up and I will link it down below for you to check out if you're into that PSA dagger. That is what I've got for you all today. Let me know what lights you are running down below, because you may run a different one at work for hard use, and you may run a little bit of a different one at home, and I'm just curious to know. If you're interested in anything you saw here today, check out the build list or the first link in the description. You go to my webpage, tacticalconsiderations.com. It'll have everything that I have ever reviewed, and all of that stuff is a huge support to the channel. If you want to support me, you can use any of those links, check out the Patreon, or just keep viewing, liking, subscribing, and of course, leave that good comment. And before we sign off, huge shout out to True Shot Gun Club. Awesome guys over there. I drink whiskey, eat barbecue with them, and they did supply the ammo for the dagger video, which will be coming up really soon. You get out on the range, have some fun. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I will see you all on the next one.